First tonight, Ohio Task Force 1 has come home.
The team spent more than 2 weeks in southwestern Florida helping search and recovery efforts, all following Hurricane Ian. Bryn Caswell is live in Vandalia tonight. And Bryn, how is this mission different than the ones in the past?
Adam, team leaders say that this mission was different because their K-9 unit played an especially large role. Dogs executed dozens of search, rescue, and recovery missions, along with searching collapsed buildings to make sure they were clear.
A lot of times when we do these hurricane deployments, it's not necessarily important for the dogs to be there. We're really there more in the capacity of search, where we'll help with the navigation and the building marking and those sorts of things. But in this particular case, we did utilize the dogs quite a bit.
So, Bryn, I imagine team members, they're relieved to finally be home tonight?
Adam, they are relieved. A lot of them are excited to crawl back into their beds, but it does weigh heavy on them because they know a lot of the people in Florida still do not have that luxury right now. So for more on this story and their recovery work in Florida, head over to the web version of it at Dayton247now.com. Reporting live in Vandalia, Bryn Caswell, Dayton 24/7 Now News.
Bryn, thanks so much. The two candidates battling to be Ohio's next U.S. Senator facing off in Cleveland tonight. Republican J.D. Vance and Democrat Tim Ryan tackling a number of topics, including unemployment, health care, and abortion.
My view on this is, generally speaking, Ohio is going to want to have different abortion laws than California, than Texas, and I think Ohio should have that right. But some minimum national standard is totally fine with me.
I support going back to Roe v. Wade. That was established law for 50 years, and we didn't have all the chaos that we're having now.
Now, the candidates also went head-to-head over policing.
You've got to do something that Tim Ryan failed to do, which is stop the leadership of this country from going after qualified immunity. Here's what qualified immunity does. It provides legal protections for our police officers when they do their jobs. They need that so that they can attract the right people and so that they can focus on keeping people safe, not litigation from ridiculous activists.
Governor DeWine is now going around the state passing out money for law enforcement. That's federal money. I agree that the governor should do that, and I'm glad he's doing it, but that's federal money that I helped get into that bill, so that law enforcement has the resources they need, and we have to keep helping out. But I will say this. I am not going to take a back seat to J.D. Vance on law enforcement, or anything else for that matter.
Now, the polls showed Ryan and Vance in a dead heat going into tonight's debate.
Now, there are currently no plans for Governor Mike DeWine to face off against Democratic challenger Nan Whaley. Today, we asked him why.
Look, her record is known, my record is known, and what we find is that, there's not a huge demand from the public to watch these debates, based upon my past experience. But we're going to be together. Editorial boards will be together. Usually that is recorded. Usually that's put up on the internet. People have the opportunity to certainly watch that.
Now, DeWine says he and Whaley have been debating over the important issues for months, and they will both appear before Ohio newspaper editorial boards sometime before Election Day. And we'll continue to keep you up to date with all the things election related. You can find all of our coverage in one place at Dayton247now.com. Just click on the Beyond the Podium section under the News tab.
Now, some members of the Democratic Party are calling for new blood. Michigan Congresswoman Alyssa Slotkin says that she will support President Biden if he runs for re-election in 2024, but
I have been very vocal, including with my own leadership in the House, that we need a new generation. We need new blood, period, across the Democratic Party, in the House, the Senate, and the White House. I think that the country has been saying that.
The three top Democrats in the House, Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Majority Leader Steny Hoyer, and Majority Whip Jim Clyburn, are all over 80 years old. President Biden will hit that milestone next month. Slotkin joins other Democrats who have said that the party needs a generational change.
Kettering police making arrests in a mailbox theft over the weekend. Tonight, Dominique O'Neill talked with police about the crime and the suspects. So, Dominique, what did they have to tell you about these thefts?
Adam, officers told me today they've seen a recent spike in these kind of thefts. This weekend, they made a traffic stop near the post office on Ford Boulevard. They arrested two 21-year-old men and a 15-year-old boy after finding pieces of mail and checks in their car.
We're working really hard to try to curtail these thefts and catching people as much as we possibly can, using a lot of different investigative tactics through our detective advice sections to help deter these as well.
So, Dominic, what are police recommending people do moving forward?
Things. One is bringing your mail directly inside the post office, and another is handing it to a worker or just use your mailbox at home. Back to you.
All right, Dominic, thanks. Well, let's talk weather now. Nick Dunn is in for Natalie tonight. So a warm night tonight. We got maybe one more day of this, it sounds like, and then it's back to reality?
Yeah, one more day of this, and then, yeah, that's exactly the way I would put it, back to reality for you. Right now, outside from our Kettering Health Sky Cam at the Sloan Medical Center, it's clear and 60 degrees. Pretty pleasant out there this evening. Might be able to sleep with the windows open for a little while, but those temperatures will fall into the 40s a little bit later on to this evening. Now, looking at temperatures across the board, we have our traditional cool spots, Urbana, Middletown, and Richmond. Otherwise, everybody else is in the 50s out there this evening, and those temperatures will continue to slowly fall as we head through the next several hours. Now, looking at how tomorrow is shaping out for you, we'll start the morning in the upper 40s. We'll get into the 60s by lunchtime, and we'll warm up nicely into the mid-70s through the afternoon. The wind will start to pick up just a little bit ahead of Wednesday, along with the cloud cover will start to increase as well. And I'll have the look at when those rain showers and even a few thunderstorms will arrive coming up in just a little bit.
Nick, thanks. Some schools in Florida are preparing to reopen following Hurricane Ian. Governor Ron DeSantis says the state is responding to requests for assistance at Charlotte County schools. Crews are working to get the buildings back in shape for students. That includes removing trees and debris from several schools and bus stops and replacing damaged ceiling tiles. According to an update from Charlotte County schools, 19 out of 21 schools are going to be back operational by Tuesday, October 18th.
And I think that's really, really important because you have a lot of families that have gone through, maybe their home's damaged, maybe they just didn't have significant damage, but they want to get back to normal. You have the kids really need to be in school. It's really important for them. It's important for the community.
Meanwhile, hard-hit Lee County says it hopes to return students to an educational environment by Monday the 17th. Through a Facebook post, the school district said a majority of school sites are ready to open, but 18 of them are not. And the death toll from Tropical Storm Julia climbing tonight. Megan's at the Now Desk. What's the latest on this storm?
Yeah, Adam, tonight 14 people are confirmed dead as a result of the storm. Julia hit the coast of Nicaragua early Sunday as a Category 1 hurricane, bringing strong winds and heavy rain. In El Salvador, we're told 9 people have died and more than 1,800 people have been evacuated. And Reuters reports in Honduras, 5 victims are confirmed killed. Now, according to the National Hurricane Center, the storm is now moving along the coast of El Salvador towards Guatemala. Julia is expected to weaken, but will still have the threat of flash floods and mudslides. Well, children's hospitals are seeing an uptick in RSV. Mamie Ba explains what you need to be watching out for.
Currently at Dayton Children's, 7 children are hospitalized with RSV. Just last week, at least 73 tested positive for the illness. Experts say they keep seeing more and more cases. Doctors say it's highly unusual to see an early RSV season.
So RSV is typically a seasonal virus that we see in pediatrics. In the past, before COVID, RSV season seemed to be in the winter, January, February. And so the number of kids that are being kind of hit with this virus is becoming more numerous as the days go on. They've significantly increased over the last week, and we're starting to see clinically every day more kids.
Doctors say babies are most at risk, and you should look for rapid breathing in your child, sneezing, runny nose, and coughing. Back to you.
Traditional colleges are seeing decreased enrollment in recent years, while some are opting to learn a trade instead.
And explosions erupted across Ukraine this morning. Coming up, we show you the terrifying footage of that attack.
We have a couple more days of milder temperatures before rain, and some cooler temperatures head our way. I'll track that for you coming up. Here's a live look at your Kettering Health Sky Cam from Prestige Place. You're watching Dayton 24/7 now.
Tonight, you can still smell smoke for miles away from that fire at a West Carrollton recycling center. It erupted yesterday afternoon at Cohen Recycling. 15 fire departments worked to get that fire under control, and tonight, crews are still putting out hot spots. Now, the cause is still under investigation. The EPA is also investigating any environmental impacts that fire may have caused.
Multiple Hollywood figures are going to have their day in court to face allegations of sex crimes. Jury selection has now begun in the Los Angeles trial of Harvey Weinstein. He faces 11 sex-related charges. Weinstein is currently serving a 23-year sentence for a rape conviction in New York. And former That 70s show star Danny Masterson is on trial in L.A. facing 3 charges of forcible rape. Director Paul Haggis goes on trial next week in New York for a rape charge. Kevin Spacey's civil trial continues. He's accused of assault by Anthony Rapp when the actor was just 14 years old. And actor Cuba Gooding Jr. is expected to be sentenced later this week after pleading guilty to forcible touching.
And I'm forecaster Nick. Now, we are tracking our next weather maker that will bring you some showers and maybe in a few thunderstorms as well. We're going to fast forward to Tuesday evening. Clouds will be on the increase. I do think we stay dry even into early Wednesday morning as well, other than maybe a spotty shower. Wednesday will feature lots of cloud cover, mild temperatures once again, and breezy conditions. We'll see a few showers, even a few thunderstorms rumble through. That cold front will come through. We could really use the rain, so we'll take it any way we can. We will start to dry out, though, by Thursday afternoon. We do have a level 1 risk of just a couple of strong gusty storms potentially if anything were to materialize. So, of course, we'll be tracking that for you. The main risk would be, again, just some gusty winds. And outside of that, once this gets out of here on Wednesday, Thursday looking much better. And I'll show you the full 7-day here in just a little bit.
Nick, thanks. More young people are choosing to go to trade schools instead of a traditional 4-year university. Major reason is avoiding the thousands of dollars worth of student loan debt. Tom Bosco shows us.
It may look and sound like I'm at a busy construction scene, which would not be surprising given all the projects going on in Central Ohio right now. But where I am is actually a classroom. This is an apprentice trades class going on here for carpenters who are learning how to put up drywall, learning how to install metal beams and metal studs for buildings and hand tools and all the like. It's reflecting a growing trend of more young people getting involved in the trades rather than going to college. Students I spoke with here say they don't feel like they're missing anything from college, especially not the debt.
Nowadays, people go $100,000 in debt, and through the apprenticeship, you don't have to do that.
These apprentices tell me they are not worried about any kind of lack of work. We have seen so many projects going up in Central Ohio. These young people say that they have years and years of work ahead of them. Guys, back to you.
Tom, thanks so much. Explosions erupted in multiple Ukrainian cities today, including the capital. According to the Associated Press, the blasts are apparently from Russian missiles. Officials say at least 11 people were killed and 64 hurt. This comes one day after Russian President Vladimir Putin blamed Ukraine for an attack on the Crimea bridge.
President Biden responding to that attack that Russia unleashed on Ukraine. In a tweet, he says, quote, the U.S. condemns Russia's missile strikes today, which across Ukraine, which injured and killed civilians and demonstrated once again the brutality of Putin's illegal war. These attacks only reinforce our commitment to stand with the people of Ukraine for as long as it takes. Now, Ukrainians are keeping their eyes on the upcoming midterm congressional elections in the U.S., too. They're hoping the results won't affect the flow of weapons and security aid from Washington. The Biden administration has sent Ukraine more than $17 billion in aid so far and vows to continue to do so.
For as long as it takes.
But some Republicans are voicing concerns about signing blank checks without much oversight, saying the U.S. needs to focus on domestic issues like high inflation. Here's Senator Rand Paul in May.
We cannot save Ukraine by dooming the U.S. economy.
In August morning consult polls shows U.S. concern about the Russia-Ukraine war is declining among Republicans.
The nation's third largest railroad union just rejected a deal with freight carriers, renewing concern over a possible strike. More than half of the union of track maintenance workers voted against a proposed 5-year contract. It included 24% raises and $5,000 in bonuses. The union president says the railroads did not do enough to address working conditions and the lack of paid time off. The group representing the railroad says it is disappointed but will keep working towards a deal. The union says a strike is possible if a deal is not reached by November 19th.
Federal prosecutors are seeking a 4-year prison sentence for the man who assaulted police officers and a journalist during the January 6th Capitol riot. Alan Byerly has pleaded guilty to assaulting an Associated Press photographer and using a stun gun against police. A judge is scheduled to sentence Byerly on October 21st. Now, midterm elections are less than a month out now, and some voters say if their party doesn't win control of Congress, they're going to blame election fraud. An Axios Ipsos poll shows about 4 in 10 Republicans and 1 in 4 Democrats will resort to blaming fraud if their party doesn't win. 60% of Democrats, 36% of Republicans say they will not blame fraud if they lose. Now, what the two parties do seem to agree on is that they have little in common with each other. This is the belief of 78% of Democrats and 76% of Republicans.
This Friday is the Ribbon of Hope Luncheon for breast cancer awareness. Coming up, we tell you how to get tickets and who the special keynote speaker is going to be. You're watching Dayton 24/7 now.
All right, here's a live look from our Kettering Health Skycam. You can see a little bit of traffic on the roads tonight as it is a warm evening tonight. And Nick Dunn is in for Natalie. This isn't going to last much longer, though, is it?
No, we are tracking some rain that will likely arrive. By Wednesday, we can at least get through one more dry day tomorrow. So here's a quick look at how much rain we could see over the next 48 hours or so. So the rain will start to move in well after midnight tomorrow night, more likely into Wednesday and through the afternoon. Some heavier downpours even from time to time. Some localized places could get over 3/4 of an inch depending on where those downpours exactly line up. But overall, we'll take the rain any way we can get it. That'll help put a dent into our 2-inch rainfall deficit. Now, once we get that cold front and a secondary cold front out of here on Sunday, we are looking at much cooler temperatures in the next week. You saw that high of 53 from Monday. Yeah, a lot of the Ohio Valley going to be well below normal into early next week, and so we'll have to be tracking that as well. And coming up, we'll have a look at that 7-day forecast for you as well.
All right, thanks so much. All month long, we are going pink to help support breast cancer patients right here in our community. We've teamed up with Kettering Health to help raise awareness. This Friday is the annual Ribbon of Hope Luncheon, and TV personality, author, and cancer survivor Joan London will be the keynote speaker. I caught up with London ahead of her visit about what she hopes everyone is going to take away from the event. For nearly 20 years, Joan London was a part of our daily morning routine as co-host of Good Morning America. On air, she was not only likable and relatable, but also passionate about all things health. And she used the platform to try and help her viewers. The daughter of a cancer surgeon, it was a title she carried with pride. But it also meant when she received her own breast cancer diagnosis in 2014, there was added pressure.
I kind of felt like I was letting everybody down by getting cancer. I know it's silly, but that was the kind of thought that I had.
London was diagnosed with triple-negative breast cancer. Undetected during her annual mammogram due to dense breasts, it was only discovered after an ultrasound. And with no family history, London says it came as a shock.
So I just thought I was immune. I thought it was going to be some other woman that would get it. And that's a danger. Had I known that less than 15% of women diagnosed with breast cancer ever had any family history, I wouldn't have felt so immune.
But just as she always has in the past, London turned her own experience into action, helping others. She's now an advocate for early detection and education.
In the public eye, not many people have to do that. Did you feel an added responsibility with that?
100%. A responsibility, but I'm also going to say an opportunity, almost to the point of a gift. Here, all of a sudden, I got this opportunity like dropped in my lap. Wow, I can start on this journey and learn everything I can about breast cancer and share it with other women. And in essence, I can kind of like take the baton from my dad and keep running.
So when she visits Dayton for the Ribbon of Hope luncheon later this week, that is exactly what London plans to do. Spread awareness and the importance of self-advocacy with the hope that the next woman who walks a cancer journey knows she's not alone.
When you go down this path, that if you come out on the other side kind of a different person, you really do. I mean, you appreciate each day more, but you also have this sense of, okay, thanks for letting me live. And now I want to help the next woman. And I think almost every woman that's diagnosed with cancer, I think probably has that sensibility.
In Kettering, Megan O'Rourke, Dayton 24/7 Now. And it is not too late to get tickets for the Ribbon of Hope luncheon this Friday at the Ponen Center in Dayton. You can visit ketteringhealth.org and search Ribbon of Hope for registration information. And if you can't make it out but still want to support the Kettering Health Foundation and cancer patients right here in the Dayton area, text the word PINK to 345-345 to make a donation, or you can scan that QR code right there on your screen.
Kanye West banned from his social media accounts what he said in the fallout tonight.
You're watching Dayton 24/7 Now.
the Dayton 24/7 Now News app, brought to you by the Jeff Schmidt Auto Group.
Kanye West has been locked out of some social media accounts tonight. He was suspended from posting on Twitter and Instagram after a weekend tweet saying he would go, quote, DEFCON 3 on Jewish people. Twitter said the message violated its policy on hate speech. West's accounts are still active, but he can't post until the suspension ends. Well, speaking of social media, new developments in Elon Musk's ongoing battle with Twitter. So Megan's at the Now Desk. What's happened now?
Yeah, Adam, Musk is said to have commissioned a report on Twitter bots, and the analysis found Twitter had more fake accounts than other comparable social platforms. The firm who did the research says bots make up about 11% of total user base. They used a machine learning algorithm to analyze hundreds of parameters to determine which accounts are authentic. Twitter has said for years that bots make up less than 5% of its monetizable daily active users. The prevalence of bots has been a sticking point in Musk's $44 billion acquisition of Twitter.
Today, communities across the country are marking Columbus Day, Indigenous Peoples Day, or both. Several big cities hosting their annual parades today, including New York and Chicago. Columbus Day has faced scrutiny in recent years. Critics argue the holiday should recognize the populations that were displaced and mistreated by European explorers. The Biden administration signed a proclamation last year to formally recognize Indigenous Peoples Day.
And I'm forecaster Nick Dunn. If you really like today's weather, I think you're going to like tomorrow's, maybe just a little bit more. We're looking at sunshine, especially the first half of the day. Clouds will start to build in during the afternoon. Afternoon highs tomorrow will make it into the low to middle 70s across the board. South winds at between 6 and 12 miles per hour. A few of those gusts could be just a little bit stronger at times. Now, looking at how we break things down by region for you, and temperatures expected in your neighborhood. For our northern communities, Bellefontaine, Sidney, Wapakoneta, and Salina, about 71 to 73 for you. Working a little further to the south, Urbana at 72, Springfield at 74, and Greenville and Troy at 73 and 74 respectively. Down to the south, mid-70s, and if we can get enough sunshine, our traditional warm spots around Oxford and Middletown could make a run into the upper 70s tomorrow, but overall feeling a little bit more like spring if you ask me, which we won't get many more days like this whatsoever. As we get into the day on Wednesday, that's when that cold front's going to start to come through with some showers and a few rumbles of thunder. Again, we could see some gusty winds with some of that activity as well, so we'll monitor that for you. A few morning showers as we get into the day on Thursday. Friday looking nice, I will say, for Thursday night lights and Friday night football. The weather looks great. A little cool for both of those. And then for the weekend, first half looking good, second half maybe just a few showers. And then, as I alluded to, next week, guys, looking definitely a little bit on the cool side. I know a lot of us are probably not quite ready for that just yet, but that'll help the leaves change. Should get some pretty good colors out of that next week.
When is typical leaf peeping season?
Yeah, we look at late October normally for something like that. So we're still probably about another week or so out, but with these fluctuations in temperatures like this, that might actually help speed it up just a little bit. So, and if you have leaf pictures at home or any kind of fall pictures, be sure you can use the Chime In app, and we'll get those on air and on social too. That's always kind of fun to get viewer pictures involved. And I love fall. That's just, I love all the colors.
I like this weather, but it's sad to see it changing so quickly. Those 50s are coming in fast, it looks like.
Yeah, it's going to come in pretty quick. So that's something we'll have to kind of watch. And like I said, that rain on Wednesday, we could see a couple gusty showers with that, and then just kind of